Good morning and happy May 3rd. It is, I guess, about 7:30, so getting ready to start the day and head into take Chainsaw to school and then head to work. So my intentions today, so far today, I've just had some black coffee with the iodine drops, and I'm going to make another cup, like a to-go cup of some black coffee to take with me to work. My intention is to push to do some intermittent fasting today. If it becomes tough, then I will maybe incorporate like a little bit of a fat fast to try to extend my intermittent fast, and by doing that I'll have some coffee with a little bit of coconut oil to try and help kind of push me a little bit longer. I've found that with doing that, with adding a little bit of fat to my coffee, it allows me to not go forward with any kind of meals, but it also, the fat itself does not affect my blood glucose at all whatsoever, which is very typical when consuming pure fat. It's something that does not affect your blood glucose and then therefore doesn't affect insulin. So that's something that Dr. Bickman has talked about a good bit. So it's a nice little tool to have in the toolbox, and maybe we can talk a little bit more about it as far as some potential for fat fasting in an effort to help kind of extend to extend an intermittent fast. Obviously not a fast for autophagy, but to prolong a meal. So that's what I'm going to work on today. And it's a beautiful day. The birds are going nuts right now. And I think it's going to be hot because it's already nice and like comfortable outside right now. So we're probably looking at close to 80 today. So wish me luck. All right, guys, just pulled up to work. On the way here, I just had a black coffee along with an electrolyte water. The electrolyte water that I made and what I've been doing in the mornings the last few days is my normal, so just water, the little bit of the Crystal Light drops, the water enhancer drops, the mixture of the magnesium citrate powder and the Morton Light salt for the actual electrolytes. And then I've also been adding a teaspoon of the Bragg's apple cider vinegar. The reason I've been doing that is because I know it does help with blood sugar regulation. And so it's just something, I mean, there's so many different benefits, certainly Googleable. But yeah, I've started adding that to my morning electrolyte water. So just finished that. I decided against doing any fat fasting. So from here until whenever I have my first meal of the day, I'm just going to work through water and coffee. And that's it. And now that I'm at work, I'm going to be switching to decaf. So that's the plan. And yeah, we'll see how this day goes. So I will see you guys in a few ticks. All right, so it's about 2:30 and I am getting ready to eat. So I figured I would go ahead and check my glucose and ketones before I do. So I figured I'd bring you along. All right, so glucose first. If you're squeamish, look away. All right, 90. And time for ketone test. And this one takes a few seconds longer. I figured out, by the way, what was the error code I was getting on my Keto Mojo was that the batteries were dead. Ooh. That's awesome. It's no wonder I've been able to make it this late in the day before I started getting hungry. 0.8? What? Okay. So, let me check. Okay, so first things first. I have clean fasted with only water, electrolyte water, and coffee. I decided against doing any kind of fat fasting or anything today. So now I'm getting ready to have my first meal. I'm honestly not terribly hungry, but knowing myself, I decided I'm going to go ahead and eat the lunch that I brought with me to work. Because when I get home in the afternoon, if I am not full, I tend to be snacky and I want to grab things. So, I'll end up having like a cheese stick, and I'll have a piece of cold chicken, and then I'll have a couple of pickles, and then I'll have another cheese stick or something ridiculous. So I'm trying to kind of be proactive and have something within my control. So I made these yesterday. This is just technically a meat bar. So I took 1 pound of ground beef and just cut it in half, and then kind of like portioned it to be rectangular. And this just has seasoning on top, some pepper, some garlic salt, and a little bit of garlic powder on there. And I cooked it in my air fryer. Basically, I did these in the air fryer at 400 for 12 minutes. So today I just reheated it just a little bit and kind of take the chill off, but just to show you kind of they're very tender, as you can see, like tender, juicy. And this is regular 73% lean. So this is going to be my lunch, and I'll catch up with you guys at dinner time. But yeah, it's about 2:30, so I made it pretty late into the day. All right, guys, the day is wrapping up. It is dark. I am sitting on my back porch. I finally have my couch back. However, because of the time of year, I'm like super freaked out about the potential for like a spider or something getting on me. So I stepped outside just so I could wrap up the day. It is about 8 p.m. After the ground beef that you guys saw that I had at work, I drank an electrolyte water, big old 32-ounce bottle of electrolyte water on the way home. Once I got home, I had 1.5 tablespoons of brown butter bites, so 3 of the little half tablespoon brown butter bites. And then Richard and I went on 2 separate walks around the neighborhood. And then we grabbed the kids and we did a 3rd walk around the neighborhood. And then in addition, we hung out in the front yard and we threw the football back and forth with chainsaw. And so we got like a little extra activity. I just checked my Fitbit a little while ago and I'm just over 19,000 steps, which is awesome. So I'm feeling really good as far as just some activity and some movement today. I mean, it wasn't really like the plan to get exercise, but just the idea of movement, that's nice. I feel like I've accomplished something. So that's good. I did have 2 glasses of Pinot Grigio, and the last one was about an hour ago. So just now I checked my blood glucose and my ketones, just to see kind of how that affected them, because alcohol can, because your liver prioritizes processing the alcohol, since obviously alcohol is considered a toxin, you stop producing ketones during that time period. So they did drop a little, but they're still 0.5. And I still feel pretty good right now. So I'm not giving you like the free-for-all on drinking, but having 2 glasses of Pinot Grigio did not seem to kick me completely out of ketosis. So, I mean, that's kind of cool. Right now, I have a sparkling water. It's just a strawberry seltzer, which if ever you can find strawberry, I think Bubbly makes one, and then this is the Harris Teeter brand. They make one. Strawberry is delightful. So I'm going to drink this. And honestly, I was thinking about it. I had another meat bar ready for dinner tonight, and I have some chicken that I cooked up last night. But frankly, I'm just not hungry. Having that, the meat bar at work, and then having those 3 butter bites, I'm just not hungry. It's a little after 8 o'clock right now, and frankly, I just don't think that, I think if I were to try to eat, I would be forcing myself, and I don't feel like doing that. So that's going to wrap up my day, which is going to keep me a little bit low on both protein and on calories, but frankly, I am very satisfied. Despite the activity today, I'm not feeling any sort of hunger right now. Which brings me to something else I just kind of wanted to mention. I realized today a couple of things when it comes to trying to fast, because I did do a surprisingly good job of intermittent fasting today. I didn't break my fast until about 2:30, and I've got like a moth that's flying. You guys know I'm in the nature, they're bugs. But I did fast until about 2:30 this afternoon, and it was a clean fast with just black coffee, water, and I did have 1 bottle of my electrolyte water with my Crystal Light drops during that time. And there's a plane. But fasting is something that I've found difficult for the last several months, because usually in the morning before I leave the house for work, usually between, like, I get up at 4 a.m. and usually sometime between like 6 and 7 a.m. So 2 to 3 hours after I wake up, I get really hungry. And that's usually when I'll make up some scrambled eggs or some little egg bites or something in the air fryer. And I noticed today, and I've noticed this a couple of other times that I've really tried to push my fasting window a little bit, that it is a short-lived window of hunger, where I am really feeling those pangs of hunger and like the growly stomach during that time period. And if I kind of muscle through with just having some coffee, having some water, it passes very quickly. And so pretty much, like, if I can just get to work, which is at like 8:30, I have zero hunger for a good while. And it's just like today, I was not even a little bit hungry until about 2:30. And so I think that that's one of those things that my body is kind of on a schedule of eating. And so that's when it anticipates food. And maybe that's why I still get those hunger pangs at that time, but they're so short-lived and they go away pretty quickly if I don't feed that monster. So I'm excited to start trying to flex that fasting muscle a little bit more. My goal really is to every day at least do a 16-hour fast between my eating windows, just for overall health. I don't need to be eating all day and snacking all day. That was something that I did for a very long time that kept me sick. And I would like to play around as I go on with doing some longer fasts, maybe pushing it to some 18-hour stretches or a couple of 24-hour fasts here and there. Maybe far into the future, I'll extend them a little bit more. But I think just playing around with that time-restricted eating might be a good thing for me as far as still continuing to improve my insulin sensitivity and everything as well. So, I don't know, that was just kind of a revelation today as far as really realizing that hunger, I'm telling you, it's so short. It's like I'll have like 10 minutes of feeling hungry and then it's gone. And so that's realizing that it's that short of a time to muscle through and that it's not true physiological hunger. I have plenty of body fat still available for my body to consume. So I don't know. I just, I think I used to really obsess about those feelings of hunger and the desire for food. And at least today, I felt pretty liberated in that it was a very short-lived period of time that I was really hungry, and then it passed to the point where I didn't notice it for several hours. So it's just something interesting that I wanted to share with you. So anyway, I guess that really wraps up the day. I'm going to finish my seltzer and head inside where there are no bugs because they are atrocious out here. Richard and I are off tomorrow, and he has a lot of a long, lengthy honeydew list. I say that, but it's not. He has one little thing to fix on my car, and then he's doing a whole project with his car tomorrow that the neighbors are going to hate. We're the loud house. Like, our cars are all loud. Mine is the quietest of the bunch, with my very, I don't know. None of us have a factory exhaust. We all have loud cars. I'm sorry. Like, it is what it is. It's just, this is the family. It's how we are. I won't apologize for it. So I guess that is it. And actually, I will do a separate little segment to feature. I'm going to do 2 questions tonight because I realized earlier today that I skipped one for yesterday's video. So we're going to do a couple of questions as well from the May I Get to Know You idea. So those will be a separate little clip, and we'll do that. And after that, it'll be the goodbyes and I love you, mean it. All right, and then I will see you tomorrow. All right, the questions next. All right, okay. So I went through the questions, and I have to answer Susan. So Susan Rader, first of all, thank you for being just a top fan and friend all around in the group, on all of my posts, on YouTube, on everything. And I can't wait to hang out with you when you come to Charleston to visit this summer. I'm super excited about that. So Susan, Sparkly Susan, you asked a couple of questions, and so I'm going to try and answer as best I can. So number 1, you asked if I was not keto, what would be my favorite meal or something that I would love. This is emotional, and so I am going to try really hard not to get emotional. My favorite meal on planet Earth is my mama's chicken and dumplings. As a kid, she would always joke that she couldn't make her own dumplings, so she used like Mueller's egg noodles. And day 1, they were very okay. When she would make chicken and dumplings with the egg noodles, they were just all right. But when they were refrigerated and reheated, the dumplings like soaked up all the broth and they got really puffy, and that was my favorite thing. And anytime that I was sick or sad or anything, that's what she would make for me. I know that Susan, you're familiar now, but some of y'all aren't, but my mom is in the later stages of dementia. She can't cook or anything anymore. And so that's something that I really miss. And I can make it, right? But it's not the same when I make it as when she does. So when my sister was sick, and when I went to visit her just before she passed away in September of 2021, Richard and I had gone to see her in the hospital. And on the way home, I was emotional because at that point we knew she was terminal and she only had hours or days. And Richard said, "What can I do?" And I said, I just want my mom's chicken and dumplings. That's what I need. And so he spent days like reading blogs and watching YouTube videos on how to make chicken and dumplings. And so a couple of days later, I came home from work and he had made homemade chicken and dumplings. And he made them with homemade hand-rolled dumplings, and they were loaded with black pepper, which is how my mom always made them. And the flavor, even though the noodles were different, the flavor was spot on. And so now, even now, being trying to stay as keto as possible, every time I visit my parents, because that's always very emotionally exhausting. When I come home, he has a pot of chicken and dumplings on the stove for me. And so it's an amazing gift. And he makes them really well. They are damn good chicken and dumplings. But if I could have anything not keto, it would be my mom's chicken and dumplings, hands down. So, okay, on to a lighter note. You asked, what is my favorite body part and why? And it's funny because I really struggle a lot with this. And I honestly, because I feel like anything that I have been proud of in the past, like something that maybe I have been complimented on, or for whatever reason liked about myself, like over the years. I mean, I've gotten older. I'm 41 now, but as I've gotten older, my feelings towards those things have changed. So I'm fairly tall. I'm almost 5'7". And when I was a teenager, it was my legs, right? Like, I felt like I had like shapely legs. And now as an adult, and after all my blood clotting garbage and everything, like, I feel like my legs are what I'm most self-conscious of. And then I used to be, because Richard has always liked my smile, I used to love my teeth. And as I've gotten older, and years of abuse with so much sugar and so much junk, my teeth have not failed me completely, but they are not what they used to be. They're stained, and I have cavities, and I have problems. And so, I don't know. I think that I would hope that I still feel like my smile is my favorite. And it's because I feel like it's genuine, and I will smile when I mean it. And you can't hide emotions, like they're going to be there. So whether it is excitement or happiness or upset or whatever it might be, there's no you guys know at this point, it's open book. But I feel like when I do smile, and I feel like it's very authentic, and I hope that it is read that way. And so I think that would be that. Your third question, Susan, was what would be my ideal romantic date with Richard. And I would do the same thing that we've done a couple of times. So we honeymooned. We're both from Charleston, and on our honeymoon. Now, granted, like, you guys have to understand, and this is a different question that I've gotten, and I'll answer it another day. But Richard and I have been together since we were kids. I was 17 and he was 19 when we met, and then we got married 2 years later. Not a shotgun wedding or anything either. we got married on purpose because I was 19, he was 21, and we just, when you know, you know. But of course we were broke kids, just kind of starting out on our own. So my big brother and his wife paid for us a 2-night stay up in Asheville for our honeymoon. So we had a 2-night stay in a really sweet little cabin in the woods in the outskirts of Asheville, North Carolina. And we went to the Biltmore, and we had like a really romantic dinner at an Italian restaurant, and we spent an entire day, like sun up to sundown, at the Biltmore Estate and touring the gardens and everything. We did the same thing on our 10-year anniversary. We went back to Asheville, and we stayed at a hotel at that point. We couldn't book the same cabin. But we went up there and we did the same thing, and we spent the entire day at the Biltmore just wandering. And it's funny because it's such a beautiful place. But just like when we're here and it's the two of us alone, we talk a lot. Because yeah, he's my best buddy. And so having some sort of undivided attention and just time for us to spend together is really special. So I would have to say that, you know, the perfect like romantic date would be a nice dinner and, you know, some sort of scenic, leisurely time together. And the Biltmore is kind of the perfect backdrop for that. We've always enjoyed it every time we've been. So, I think that would be something like that. So it really is just, I don't know, after we've been together now for 24 years, it doesn't matter where we are. We don't love like big crowds, and we don't love like parties and dancing and, you know, anything crazy. We just really like to be together and have some chill time. And so if we could get away and be somewhere where it's just the two of us without work and kids and 9 million dogs, then that would be a nice little romantic getaway. So I think that would be awesome. So anyway, Susan, I'm glad I got to answer your questions. Everybody else that has left questions, I'm going to jump on those each day as well. And if you have any more, drop them in the comments and I'll try and answer as many as I can. So we've got a bunch of days left in May, so I'll knock out everything I can. But meanwhile, it is now pushing 9 o'clock. I'm going to drink my water, which I'm finally going to open, because if you don't like seltzer, be willing to try. But anyway, I'm going to wrap it up now that I've covered every spectrum of emotions. Alright guys, but I'm off tomorrow, so hopefully we can put together something fun for you guys. So I will see you then, and until then, love you, mean it, and I hope you're crushing May. Alright, bye.